Welcome students. So in the process of learning about the market and demand analysis, we will discuss some more methods of estimating the demand for the new ventures or for the new projects or for the new services coming up. We have discussed some methods in the past and now there are some more methods. So we should have a complete idea, exhaustive idea about all the methods available, and if we have a complete idea, we understand that how the market and demand can be assessed for the new ventures or for the new products or the services, then we will be at the ease of selecting the most convenient and the most useful methods. So there were some methods which we talked in the past, they are also useful, and now the methods which we are going to discuss now in this lecture or maybe in the next as well, they are also very useful and very interesting methods, because market and demand analysis is such an important thing in the overall project management that entire success or failure of the project depends upon the correct assessment of the demand. If the demand is not properly assessed, in that case it may lead to the closure of the venture, or maybe sometime say drowning of the entire investment in the drain, and the entire exercise will become futile, that we manufactured a product, we generated a service, but ultimately there are no takers in the market, there is no demand, or if the demand is there, that's not up to the mark. Because we have to see that we are going to set up an industrial project, we are going to go for the production at the bigger scale. So we have to take care of the cost also, and for reducing the cost of the production, you should have the economies of the large scale production. So if you are going to have the economies of the large scale production, it means when that economies are going to be enjoyed, when we have the large scale production, and for the large scale production you should have the demand also. Many a times I am repeatedly telling you that manufacturing or generating any service these days, manufacturing any product or generating any service these days is not difficult at all, because you have all the input components easily available, and foreign exchange is easily available from the government because rupee is fully convertible on the current account these days. So whatever the total investment requirements you have and you want to make in, if you want any foreign exchange for that, you can have it from the government. So for manufacturing any product, you need the technology, you need the investment, you need raw material, you need the the production processes, and you need the management maybe skills or maybe the skilled people. So if all these inputs are available within the country, fine. If they are not available within the country, you can have it from the other economies, other countries, you can import them. You can start manufacturing the product here. So if you do not do it, somebody else will do it. If you do not generate the service, somebody else will generate it. So manufacturing has become very easy these days. Supply side has become very strong these days, but only it's the demand side which is a very important issue. Though India is a large country with 1.4 billion or maybe sometime more people, we have a large market, we have the large demand, but for all the products, all the services, the demand is there. And if you are going to manufacture a product, so and if the entry barriers are not there, so any new players can come up in the market and they can flood the market. So we have to be very careful that we may have the demand today, but demand may not be the next year, maybe in the next couple of years, or maybe in the coming years because of the certain factors. Maybe the new competitors have come up in the market, or maybe new substitutes have been developed in the market, or maybe some other factors, environmental changes are taking place. So because of all these factors, you have to have stable demand to sustain in the market, to stay in the market, to grow in the market. You should have the stable demand, and for that purpose you need to go for maybe spending sufficient time and sufficient resources for assessing the demand for your product or the service which you are going to manufacture or generate out of this new venture. So if the demand is there, there is no problem at all. You can easily create the product, or you can easily generate the service. So spend time, spend resources on the market and demand analysis. That's very important. Many times I am giving example of the Nirma Karshan Bhai. He started the process in 1962 and he brought the product in the market in the commercialized form in 1982. So 20 years of the time he has taken up, and that was the reason the product was a huge success, and it challenged one transnational company already operating in the Indian market, and it has to stop its production, its product, make some changes, control the cost. And after this Nirma, series of the cheaper range of the washing powders came in the market was flooded. So that single man who understood that what is the requirement of the market, what is the demand of the market, if you are also able to visualize that thing like that, in that case you are going to be very successful entrepreneurs. So spend time and learn about all these methods. So after talking or having talked about certain methods in my previous lectures, now we'll discuss some important other methods also, and the next method in the row is the chain ratio method, right? This is another important method, chain ratio method. Why we are discussing so many methods for the market and demand analysis? Because no one method is going to give you the complete results. So you have to have the bunch of the methods. You have to use the multiple methods. You have to assess the demand with one method, you have to check its accuracy with the other method, or you have to use multiple methods at the same time, and after that you have to check the accuracy of that demand. So for that purpose we have the another method here, we call it as the chain ratio method, and in this chain ratio method we follow a chain process. So what is this chain ratio method? It is the method is the potential of sales of a product may be estimated by applying a series of the factors to measure of the aggregate of the demand, right? So to estimate by applying a series of the factors to measure of aggregate of the demand. Now for example, we have taken a product here by the Nestle India, and they want to manufacture a product like freeze fried instant coffee, and the name of the coffee is for example Classic, right? The name of the variant is a Classic. So if they want to assess the demand for the freeze fried instant coffee, right, Classic, so they should have some idea about the demand in the market, and for that purpose, for this kind of the products, they can follow the chain ratio method. And one more thing is why we are discussing so many methods are that all the methods are not applicable to all the products and all the services. There can be consumer products, there can be industrial products, there can be say necessities kind of the products, there can be comforts, there can be luxuries. So all the products have the different attributes, different requirement, different the characteristics associated to those products. So we have to be very careful that which method is applicable to which particular product or the service, and how to take care of that. So for that purpose, when we are talking about the assessment of the demand, we will have to be very careful that in this case, when they are going to assess the demand for the Classic coffee, which is a freeze fried instant coffee, which they want to assess the demand for this product in the Indian market. So for that purpose, they can follow this chain ratio method, right? So look at the steps involved in it. What the Nestle will do first of all, or the consultant of the Nestle will do for assessing the demand for this particular product of the Nestle, or for introducing this product in the Indian market, that is total amount of the coffee sales in India, they will first estimate, and for example, this works out as 174.5 million units. It can be in grams, it can be in kgs, it can be packs or anything. So we are taking it as a million units. That's the total amount of the coffee sales in India. This is in the million units. Then proportion of the coffee used at home, right? Coffee is used for the commercial purpose also by the businesses also, and for the commercial sale in the market also by the restaurants, cafes, offices and others, and coffee is used at home also. So home is important for us because we want to introduce this product. The target market is the households in India. So this is home. This proportion works out as 0.835. Coffee used at home, it means now you can easily convert by this 174.5, and 0.835 of that works out as 145.7 million units. And in this process, proportion of the non-decaffeinated coffee used at home is this much. So you can easily find out non-decaffeinated coffee used at home in terms of the units is going to be 93.7% of the 145.7 million units, and this works out as, this is the proportion comes up as the 0.400, and instant non-decaffeinated coffee used at home is the 54.6 million units. And finally, estimated long run market share of the Classic is estimated to be this much, because there can be other companies also manufacturing the same product. So estimated long run market share of the Classic is going to be 0.08, right, or maybe 8% you can say. And the potential is going to be, the potential sales of the Classic are going to be how much? 4.37 million units, 37 million kilograms or grams, or maybe the packs or anything. So in this case, we have started from the total coffee demand in the country. After that, try to know about how much the coffee is consumed at homes, and after we zeroed it on to the, so we went down to the different kind of the products, caffeinated and the decaffeinated coffees, and finally we arrived at that what kind of the coffee we are going to manufacture, that is a freeze fried instant coffee, and for that purpose how much Nestle is going to sell in the market, what is going to be the Nestle's market share for this product they are going to introduce in the market, that is the Classic. So we estimated that it is going to be, the proportion is going to be 0.08, and finally the potential sales are going to be 4.37 million units. So you are starting at the macro level and then you are coming to the micro level. So means we have to assess for the country as a whole, and then we have to come down to the different kind of the products available in the market, different kind of the variants available in the market, which variant we are going to target at, how many total players, how much is the total market, how many players are there in the market, and how much of the total market as a proportion we are expecting. So this way we can assess, and this entire process explains what the chain ratio method is. So we are moving in the process of a chain from the top to bottom, and finally starting at the country level, we are ending up with the share of one particular type of the coffee, which is named as classic by Nestle, and Nestle is able to find out that their share is going to be 0.8, 0.08, and in the units it is going to be 4.37 million units. So for a this kind of the product you can use the chain ratio method, but it cannot be useful for maybe for industrial product or maybe for any other kind of the product. For that you have to use other methods. So we should have a complete idea, exhaustive idea about that how to assess the demand of a one particular product or a service in the market, what are the different methods available, and how to say make use of those methods for assessing the demand in the market. Next thing is, the next method is the consumption level methods. So in the consumption level methods, we use the elasticity process for estimating the demand for one particular product or maybe for the service, right. So as it is written here, the method estimates, or this method estimates consumption level, right. Ultimately the consumption level, because the consumption level is going to make the demand for us on the basis of elasticity coefficients. On the basis of elasticity coefficients, the important ones being, number one, income elasticity of demand, and second one is the price elasticity of demand. So consumption, because if it is a consumer product, if it is a consumer product, and it's a very strategic decision also these days for a country like India, which has the population of, you can call it as somewhere 1.4 or maybe more, practically the population is more than 1.4 billion. So for such a large country, populated country, if you manufacture any product which is for the consumption purpose, and even you get the fraction of the market share, very small fraction of the market share, still sometime it can be a very big amount, and your the venture can find a reason to survive. So it is linked with sometime with the, say, the income elasticity, or sometimes it is linked with the price elasticity, because sometimes some people demand more products when the income level increases, sometimes people start demanding more or less products when there is a change in the price. If the price goes up for any product, and if it is not a necessity, if it is a comfort or a luxury, certainly the demand will go down. But if it is a comfort, even in that case also people may reduce the consumption. For example, you talk about the tea. Tea is a necessity kind of the product. We are consuming tea, we are using tea, and normally one person takes 3 to 4 cups of the tea in one day. But for example, you imagine a situation that the prices of the tea go exorbitantly very high, and tea is available for the 5,000 rupees per kg in the market. Right, what will happen in that case? Though we say it's a necessity, but certainly we will reduce from the 4 cup to 2 cups in a day, or I will maybe, and everybody would be compelled to, for whom the income is important, for whom the price is important, he will reduce the consumption from the 4 cups a day to the 2 cups a day, or maybe 1 cup a day. Some people may think of even simply forgiving, say not to use the product, get rid of tea. I don't want to make use of the tea, and don't want to consume tea at all. So price is going to make a difference. But for example, if it is a rice, if it is a wheat, or if it is a flour, or maybe it is a salt, or if it is something other kind of things, salt is a different thing, because salt doesn't say the demand for the salt doesn't change because of the price or maybe because of the income. But you talk about the rice, you talk about the maybe flour, or maybe spices, or maybe your other things which we consume, pulses which we consume. So maybe the income and the price, that is not going to have much impact on the demand of the products. But especially in case of the comforts, when the price is changing, certainly demand will go down. So if it is a necessity, price elasticity may not be there, income elasticity also may not be there. But if it is going to be a comfort or product in the range of the comfort or luxuries for the people, certainly price is going to make a difference, and even the income of the people is going to make a difference. So consumption level methods which are based upon the elasticity coefficients, we are going to understand these methods, and with the help of these methods also the market and demand can be assessed for the new products or the services which we are going to have in the market. So, in the elasticity coefficients, we have the two important coefficients. One is the income elasticity of demand and second one is the price elasticity of demand. And first we will understand the income elasticity of demand and then we will move to the price elasticity of demand. So, in the income elasticity of demand, it is very simple, very easy to understand. There is nothing complex in it. That what it measures the responsiveness of demand while there is a variation in the income, right. So, responsiveness of demand, how much demand is going to increase or decrease when there is a increase or decrease in the income level of the people, and it is a fact. When the income level of the people changes, when the income goes up, certainly the demand increases of many products. Even sometimes it happens in case of the necessities also, but to talk of the luxuries and comforts, right. In case of necessities also, we start demanding better food items, vegetables, fruits and other nutritious items we start adding into our food basket when the income level increases. But when the income level goes down, it has the reverse impact also, and the demand for maybe all kind of the products goes down. So, there is a complete elasticity that which is linked to the income of the people. So, always be careful while you are assessing the demand for your venture or maybe for the product or the service. Always be careful that is there going to be any impact on the income of the people or your target population for whom you are going to generate the product or service. So, we have to be very careful in that. This is a very important coefficient, and we have to understand that how the income is going to respond, and as per the changes in the income, how the demand is going to respond or expected to respond. You would agree with me that, for example, when there is a increase in the income level of the government employees, especially when the pay commission comes, corporates assess well in advance that, for example, after 10 years, every 10 years in India, there is a pay commission and government announces the hike in the pay of the government employees' salaries, central government as well as the state governments, and they run into crores, right. So, they form a very good market for all kind of the products and services in the country. And when there is increase in the level of the income of the people, it is a big boost to the economy as a whole. Industrial sector gets a big boost, manufacturing sector gets a big boost, the services sector gets a big boost, and that all happens because of the income elasticity of the demand. When reverse happens, sometimes when the income level of the people goes down, certainly there is a reverse impact upon the demand also. We have seen in case of the subprime crisis in the US, demand for the housing certainly went up, right, because income level of the people was at a certain level. People started borrowing the money from the banks and they started buying the houses. Demand for the housing market went up, but suddenly when people lost the jobs and they came on the roads, their income level almost either became negligible or zero. So, they had no money to pay EMI. They decided to surrender that house to the bank. They had borrowed money, and ultimately there was increased supply of the housing and the prices fell down. So, as a result of that, we have seen a disastrous situation in US, and a very famous investment bank like Lehman Brothers that has failed because of this crisis. So, both ways it impacts. Increase in the income also has a positive impact on the demand, but decrease in the income also has a negative impact upon the demand because of the elasticity coefficients. So, always be mindful of it, that when you are assessing the demand, besides many other factors, always look for the income level of the people, that when the income level of the people is going to go up, is there going to be a positive impact upon the demand of your product or service or no. And if there is any kind of decrease because of any increased unemployment or the lost jobs or anything, we have to see that contrary is going to happen or not. So, it is a very important factor, both income elasticity as well as the price elasticity of the demand. In the income elasticity, income makes a difference and increases or decreases the demand. In case of the price elasticity, price makes a difference or increases or decreases the demand. So, both these components, both these elasticity coefficients are important for us, very interesting to understand. So, first let us understand this income elasticity of demand concept, and here we understand that it measures the responsiveness of demand to variations in the income, and the model is this, where we have the EI, that is the say income elasticity of the demand, and that is the say finally if you see on the right hand side, Q2 minus Q1, which is a function of Q2 Q1 divided by I2 minus I1 into I1 plus I2 divided by Q2 plus Q1. In this case, what is this EI, this is the income elasticity of demand. Q1 is basically quantity demanded in the base year, and Q2 is the quantity demanded in the following year, and I1 is the income level in the base year, and I2 is the income level in the subsequent year or in the following year for which we are assessing the demand. To understand this whole concept very clearly, we have an example here where we are given the values of these four important components, and these four important components are the Q2, Q1, I2 and I1, right. So, in the quantity demanded in the base year is, for example, 50 units of any product, and Q2 the quantity demanded becomes 55 units. I1, the income level in the year 1 is 1000, and income is expected to go to 1020 in the subsequent or maybe in the following year. So, what is going to be the elasticity, income elasticity of the demand? So, if you put all these values in this model, and if you see it, we find out this value, that income elasticity of demand on the basis of all these values is 4.81. So, this is the income elasticity coefficient. 4.81 is the income elasticity coefficient. But now this coefficient has to be made use of. What is the purpose of this income elasticity coefficient for us? How we can use it in assessing the demand for our product or the service? So, let us understand with the help of say another example, that or maybe the another model, how we can make use of the elasticity coefficients which we saw in the previous model, and with the help of this one example, that suppose the present per capita annual demand for the paper in India is 1 kg per capita. Annual demand for the paper is 1 kg, and we are manufacturing paper. We are going to manufacture paper, and the present per capita annual income level of the people is 1,18,200 rupees. The income elasticity for the paper is 4.81, for example, the coefficient which we worked out in the previous calculations. The projected per capita annual income 3 years hence is expected to be 10% higher in the real terms. The projected per capita annual income 3 years from now is expected to be 10% higher in the real terms than what it is now. Expected increase is 10%. The projected per capita demand for the paper 3 years hence means 3 years from now will be how much? The formula is very simple. Present per capita demand, that is a bracket beginning and closing, present per capita demand, then again into 1 plus per capita change in income level into income elasticity of the demand, right. So, the model is present per capita demand into 1 plus per capita change in income level into income elasticity of the demand. We have to use this model, this particular formula, and using this particular formula, right, when we use this elasticity coefficient of 4.81, we put the values. Present per capita demand is how much? That is the 1 kg, we have put it here as the 1 kg, and then the formula says 1 plus, that is the how much income is expected to increase from 3 years from now is 10%. So, this is going to be 1 plus 0.10 into 4.81. What is that 4.81? 4.81 is basically the income elasticity coefficient. And finally, on the basis of that, by using this coefficient, income elasticity coefficient of the 4.81, when we use it, finally we get to know is the final demand for the paper is going to be how much? That is 1.481 kgs is going to be the demand. So, this is how we can make use of the this coefficient of the income elasticity coefficient, and on the basis of this value of the coefficient, we can make use of this coefficient, and when we make use of this coefficient, you can understand that how much is going to be the value and total quantity demanded because of the change in the income level of the people. Means in a nutshell, you can say when there is a change in the income level of the people, we have to think about that there is going to be a certainly increase in the demand. But one point of caution here is, that is a very important point while using this method. Income elasticity of demand differs from one product to the another. It does not affect all the products, as I told you. If you divide all the products into 3 broad categories, total products demanded in country in 3 broad categories, that is the say necessities, food, shelter and clothing, then comforts, then luxuries. If you divide it to 3 broad categories, all 3 broad categories of the products will not be equally affected by the income level of the people. If the income level increases, maybe people can start demanding the comforts earlier, for example, they were not demanding. or some people may start going towards the luxuries, cars, or maybe they have a smaller car, they can go for the bigger car, right? But same impact is not going to be on the food. We have to have necessities, we have to have the food, shelter and clothing. So we can enrich our food basket, but food is going to be there. So that impact is not going to be as same as on the necessities as compared to as it is going to be on the comforts or the luxuries. So this is the first point of caution. For a given product, it tends to vary from one income group to another income group and from one region to the another region. So for one income group, it can be a great impact, but for the other income group, it may not be a great impact. For example, people who are already well to do, if their income further increases, what increase they can do in the food? They are already taking very good food, they are already living in a very good house, and they are already having a very good clothing. So for them, income elasticity is not going to make a difference. So there's a one group of the people. But the one group of the people who is at the subsistence level and whose income increases because of any reason, he may enrich his food basket, he may start demanding the comforts, he may start demanding the luxuries. So impact would be very serious, more severe and more maybe effective as compared to the one who is already maybe having the stomach maybe almost full, and income increase in the income doesn't make a difference on his necessities. But yes, in some cases he may start demanding more comforts, may start demanding more luxuries. That impact may be there. And similar impact is there is going to be on the regions also. In one region, for example, the income level of the people increases. For example, the people living in the hills, and they are not using the air conditioners, right? There is no need for the air conditioner. If their income level increases, so demand for the air conditioners is not going to change, is not going to increase. But people who are living in the plains, for them the demand for the air conditioners is going to increase, or sometime people who are not using the air conditioners, they may also start demanding or buying the air conditioners because their income level has come up to at that level that they can afford a air conditioner. And contrary to that, people who are living in the hills, they may maybe for them the impact change in the demand may be in the form of, translated in the form of more demand for the heaters, right? Electric heaters or water heaters they want to have. Earlier maybe they were not using the electric or water heaters, but now because the income level has gone up, so they were using the traditional methods of heating up the water for taking bath or something like that. But now they want to use the very comfortable say mods, that electric heater they want to use for warming up of themselves, warming up of their rooms and warming up of the water. So the water heater and the room heaters, the demand may go up, but same impact will not be there on the plains where already maybe people either are not using the heaters, or if there is a change in the income, they have a minimum level of the heaters and maybe the water heater or the room heaters. So impact is not going to be much or more severe on that. So region to region and product to product, we have to be very careful that how much impact is going to be on what product in which region, and if that impact is measurable, we should measure that and we should take that into account that yes, income level increase or change in the income level of the people is going to be a very important factor, and if the income increases, people are going to demand more goods and services, and if our product or maybe the proposed product, if it falls into that category, certainly we will take that into account. So this is what we call it as the income elasticity of the demand. Now the next part is the price elasticity of the demand. When you talk about the price elasticity of the demand, it is again another important factor which is going to impact the demand of the product or the service. When there is a change in the price of any goods or services, so demand in the market is going to change. That's why in the competitive scenario of today, it's very difficult for any company to change the price, especially to increase the price. When any company increases the price of their product, and that too in a country like India, an economy like India, which is a highly price sensitive economy, demand for that product is expected to go down until and unless all the players in the industry change the price. If all the players in the industry change the price and almost in the same proportion, then maybe there can be negligible impact on the demand. But if one company is going to increase the price, others are not going to follow the suit. In that case, that company is certainly going to see the severe reduction in the demand for their product or the service. So these days, for example, you talk about the mobile telephony. If mobile phone companies, service providers, if they want to increase the talk time price or they want to increase the data price, all the companies follow the suit. All the companies increase the price. If one company increases the price and a market where people can shift from the one company to another company overnight very easily within 24 hours. So, how fatal or disastrous it can be for a company who is only company increasing the price of the data or the talk time and others are not following the suit. So, if they have to move, they have to go upwards, any change in the price, upward change in the price, they will have to all move in the same trend they have to follow. If one is falling, others are not falling, then the one who is increasing the price is going to pay for it and he is going to face the music. So, price is a very, very important component as far as the demand of your product is concerned. And if you are going to be a new player in the market, if you are going to come up with a new product or a new service in the market, you are going to be a new venture in the market, always focus upon the price. Because if you keep the price low, it will give at least some reason for the people to think about your product. When you see the classical example of the Nirma washing powder, what was the important factor of success of Nirma? At that time when the Nirma was brought in the market by Karsan Bhai, he kept in mind very carefully that price has to be only 10 rupees for 1 kg of the washing powder. Hindustan Lever was charging a very high price at that time for the surf also and for their other cheaper range of the washing powders. And that was the one important weakness of that product in the market, where the masses were not able to afford the product. When Nirma came to the market, he kept the quality at a level, but he focused upon the price so that every average household can afford to buy the product and use that product and get benefited out of it. And I gave you the example of Akai TV. Kabir Mulchandani, when disrupted the color TV's market, right, he started selling a CTV for 7 to 8,000 rupees in the market. Other established companies were not able to do that. So, maybe for a short spell of time, but he disrupted the market, he could make a dent in the market and people accepted the product, people liked the product because price was the major factor. Price was very, very less as compared to the standard products in the market. When globalization came to India, right, many multinationals came to India and Indian domestic companies had to go out of the business. They were ousted of the business. What was the important reason for that? Quality, we understand, quality was the one concept, but first important first important factor was the price. Multinationals came with the efficient technology, efficient maybe production processes, and they had global markets to serve. So, because of the, maybe you call it as the economies of large scale production or anything, they focus upon the price and they always knew it that India is a price sensitive economy, we have to keep the price as low as possible. And as a result of the globalization, as a result of that globalization, you see today whatever the products you buy in the market, right, you buy a car, you buy a two-wheeler, you buy a CTV, you buy a refrigerator. Had globalization been not there, prices of these products would have gone up like anything up and you won't have any other option but to pay the price. Globalization has given you something which is called as a competition. Supply side has improved like anything these days, and because of the improved supply side, prices are under control. If you want to buy a CTV today, Chinese companies are giving you a very good maybe this LED TV for 20,000 rupees, right, maybe 25,000 rupees, and big TV 55 inches TV if you want to buy, which can be hanged on the wall, you can buy it somewhere for maybe 35,000 rupees. So, as compared to the previous price when a CTV was for 20,000 rupees maybe 25 or 30 years back, today if you are getting the very good quality CTV for 35,000 rupees, 55-inch rupees color TV for 35,000 rupees, you can understand price is very much under control. So, when the supply side improves, prices tend to go down. So, you have to be very careful when you are going to come out with a new venture. You are going to manufacture a new product or launch a new service, always keep the price as low as possible. So, pricing is a very important component and we have to be careful about the pricing component, and it has the impact on the demand. So, price elasticity of the demand, when you want to see here, this is something you call it as it can be measured with look at this formula. This model is here, it has again two say components, and it is basically how you say it, that is its EP is equal to Q2 minus Q1 divided by P2 minus P1 into P1 plus P2 divided by Q2 plus Q1, right. So, what is EP? EP is the price elasticity of the demand, Q1 is the quantity demanded in the base year, Q2 is the quantity demanded in the falling year, price in the base year, and P2 is the price in the falling year. If you want to understand with the help of an example, you can see here that for example, if we estimate the estimated 4 values of the Q1, Q2 and P1, P2, if we estimate these values, if we use the hypothetical values here, so we see here that P1 is price in the current year is 600 rupees and price in the next year is, it goes up to 800 rupees, right. Price in the current year is 600 rupees, price is going up or expected to go up to 800 rupees in the falling period or the subsequent year. Quantity demanded in the current year is 10,000 units, you can say, but when the price increases from 600 to 800, it goes down to 9,000 units. So, negative impact upon the quantity demanded by 1000 units, right. And when you want to calculate the price elasticity of the demand with the help of these values and this model, right, when we find out, you find out that the price elasticity coefficient goes negative and it becomes minus 0.37. It becomes minus 0.37 because of the negative impact upon the demand because of the increase in the price of the product selling in the market from 600 rupees to increase from 600 rupees to 800 rupees. That increase of 200 rupees has caused the reduction in the demand by 1000 units, and price elasticity of the demand, this coefficient has become negative. So, when we saw in the previous example income level, we saw that there is a increase in the demand, but in this case when the price increases, when the income increases, demand increases, it has a you call it as a linear effect. But when the price increases, income goes down, it has a inverse relationship. It has a inverse relationship. So, always be careful that price has to be kept under control, otherwise you will have to face this kind of the situation, and price, if it is taken care of, maybe sometime people can shift from the existing supplier who could be a transnational company to a new venture, maybe a localized venture, maybe by a new entrepreneur has come up. If he is supplying that product to you at a reasonable price, maybe people can think of shifting from the very good supplier to a new supplier, because quality is maybe comparable, but the price is very less as compared to the price we are paying to the existing supplier. So, if you want to enter into a new market and sustain in that market, always think that price is going to make a difference. It is a very important factor, it is a very critical factor. Always keep the price as low as possible, and for that purpose you have to find out all your input cost has to be taken into account and it has to be kept under control. Sometime in the past I gave you the example of that, for example, you want to manufacture the mustard oil, you want to manufacture the spices for the people, because these are the consumer products. So, if you want to manufacture the mustard oil, if you want to keep the cost of mustard oil low, you have to adopt a number of measures for that. You have to buy the mustard seed in the bulk, you have to buy the mustard seed in the season, you have to buy the mustard seed directly from the farmer and store it, right. If you want to buy it from the secondary channels, price would be a big difference in the price, and that way you won't be able to compete with your mustard oil when it comes up in the market. Spices, when you won't have to buy it where the spices are grown, and there you have to buy it from the farmers, you have to convert that into the usable form, pack it properly, distribute it to the people. So, you should be nearer to the source of raw material. So, if you are going to control the cost of the product, you have to be careful that how you have to manage the input cost, and if the input cost is under control, certainly the output cost will automatically be under control. And if you go back in the history, any company which has gone out of the market because of any reason, most important reason you would find out is the price of their products. And in a price sensitive economy like India, you have to be very careful about the pricing of your product, and if the pricing is kept under control, then everything will go well. So, because of the price elasticity of the demand, always be careful that it is going to make a difference in the demand, and we have to keep the price under control. So, we will stop here for this lecture, and remaining still there are some more methods of the demand forecasting. We will discuss those methods in the next class. Till then, thank you very much.